The old dirt road stretched out before me like a scar, leading into the dead center of a forgotten town. My beat-up pickup rumbled along, kicking up dust devils that danced in the oppressive heat. The closer I got to Hallow Creek, the more oppressive it felt. The houses were dark, windowless eyes staring back at me. It was like the whole town was watching, waiting. I'd come here at the request of my sister-in-law. Her brother, my cousin, had gone missing in Hallow Creek 3 weeks prior, and the police had unfound a single trace of him. The locals, tight-lipped and wary, offered no help, and the sheriff seemed content to let the case go cold. So she'd called me, knowing I couldn't say no. As a private investigator, I specialized in finding people, the missing, the lost, the runaways. Most of my work took me to seedy motels and dive bars, but every once in a while a case like this came along, a case that crawled under your skin and refused to let go. And this one was different. There was something about Hallow Creek that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end, a feeling I'd only ever experienced once before in my life. There was a time back when I was fresh out of college and working for the state, trying to put a human face on the faceless. I'd gotten close to a case, too close. I'd let myself believe the good fight was worth the candle, but then the threat started coming in. Veiled at first, then not so much. I'd found myself driving late at night, the windows of my car coated with a fine layer of dust. I turned around and headed home, getting out of that line of work for good. And now here I was, drawn to another dark and dangerous mystery like a moth to a flame. When I finally reached the house where my cousin had been staying, it was just as dilapidated and foreboding as the rest. The paint was peeling, the porch sagging. Standing there on the rotting steps was a woman unlike any I'd ever seen before. Her name was Clementine, the landlady. She was tall and thin, with skin like parchment and eyes that glittered like chips of obsidian. When she spoke, her voice sounded like dry leaves skittering across a stone path. She told me my cousin had been a problem, that he'd caused trouble, but she wouldn't elaborate when I pressed her. She led me inside and the air grew instantly colder. Cobwebs brushed against my face and the scent of mildew and decay filled my nostrils. Upstairs, in the room my cousin had occupied, I found more clues. His backpack was tossed in the corner, a half-empty bottle of whiskey on the table beside the bed. And scrunched up in the far corner, I saw a drawing my niece had made for him, a picture of the two of them standing in front of their house with the words, "You are my hero," scrunched above them. There was something about this room, though, that set my teeth on edge. I couldn't put my finger on it. Then I saw it, or rather smelled it. There was a faint metallic Thames in the air, like old blood. I followed my nose to the closet and threw open the door. Inside, hanging on a rusted hook, was a meat cleaver. That was when I knew I should have listened to Clementine and stayed out of Hallow Creek. That was when I knew whatever had happened to my cousin, it wasn't good. As I turned to leave, something caught my eye. Scrunched between the wall and the closet, I saw a loose floorboard. I knelt down and pried it up. Beneath it, hidden from sight, was a key. Where did it fit, I wondered. Then I heard a noise in the other room, a scraping sound like fingernails on wood. I froze, listening. Then I heard it again. I grabbed the doorknob and flung the door open. There in the dim oil lamplight, I saw it, or rather him. He was sitting in a rocking chair, his back to me, his shoulders shaking with each creak of the chair. I called out to him. He didn't answer. I took a step forward, then he turned around. His face was pale, his eyes wide and dark. And in his hands he held a small silver key. He looked at me, and Clementine appeared in the doorway. "You found the key?" she said, her voice a dry whisper. "Then it's time for you to go." But there was something about his eyes, something that tugged at my heart. I dropped to my knees and asked him if he was all right. He knew what had happened to my cousin. He shook his head slowly and whispered, "It's not safe here. You need to leave." As he spoke, the shadows on the walls seemed to writhe and twist. The air grew thick and heavy. I could feel the darkness pressing in on us, choking the life out of me. In the rocking chair, the boy began to rock faster and faster, his laughter echoing through the house. And in his eyes, I saw the answer. I saw the truth. He was never my cousin, nor had he ever been a boy. He was something else, something ancient and evil, and he was very, very hungry.